Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Chilly out there for the first time all year. But it's a nice start to this work week. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and happy you're here with us. Tigers on the hardwood tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Brian Kelly rejecting settlement offers, as he probably should. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. The Saints got a win yesterday in Carolina, heading to the bye week on a winning note. And, of course, LSU and Alabama unfolded the way it did on Saturday night. We're talking about all of it, including my SEC picks against the spread. At the top of hour number 2, Denton Day with us at the bottom of hour number 2. Let's crank it up the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
LSU loses 20-9 to Alabama in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. This one's pretty simple to break down, candidly. You look at LSU defensively in this game. You hold Alabama to 20 points. That's the fewest the Tide has scored against anybody outside of ULM all season. You held Alabama to 4 of 13 on third downs. They only scored 3 points in the second half. Ty Simpson only completed 60% of his throws, only had 1 touchdown pass. Alabama could not run the ball at all in this game, finished the ball game rushing 26 times for just 56 yards. That's 2.2 yards per carry. LSU defensively did plenty enough to win this game. But the fact of the matter is the offense just isn't good enough. And we talked about this on Friday. And we talked about it really all of last week, how LSU could go win this game. And you were going to have to be extremely efficient and clean. You were going to have to do the small things very well. And then you were going to have to go get points in the red zone. And in fact, LSU was the exact opposite of all of that. You said you were going to go over there and pick a fight with your shoulder pads and face mask. You said you were going to go over there and run the football. You ran it 26 times for 59 yards. Harlan Berry's line looks okay, 12 carries for 66 yards. He had the 37-yarder, which was really LSU's only truly effective rush in the game. So you didn't run the ball, and then you didn't do the things that you had to do, like score in the red zone. We mentioned all last week, gave it as my key to the victory on the pregame show, did a whole segment on it last week. Like, you have to be better in the red zone offensively. You got into the red zone 4 times on offense. You had a missed chip shot field goal and then 3 field goals. You didn't score a touchdown. You'll never win doing that. You can't. And 2 of the red zone offensive possessions ended up in long field goal attempts because you backed way up out of there with penalties and sacks and negative plays. Your red zone efficiency was just awful, and it had to be really, really good. Other issues that you ran into in this game. You line up to go for a 4th down and 1. You jump off sides. Got a punt. You have Trey'Dez Green wide open on a 3rd down play, and you hit him right in the hands, and he drops it. Your field goal kicker can't do the things that he needs to do early in the game to set the tone on that first drive. Like, just very simple things. Don't jump off sides. Catch the football when it's right in your hands. Make a chip shot field goal. LSU is going to have to do all of this well. And the offense did almost none of it well. Almost none of it. And that's what it comes down to. This is an Alabama defense that is not great. It's not. You look at those uniforms and you think about what you've seen the last 15 years, and you have one picture in your mind. Everybody's had some success moving the football in this Alabama team. Vanderbilt's hitting 60-yard touchdown runs on their first drive. Florida State's running for 230. Georgia's running for 6 yards a carry on these guys. Like, everybody's moving the ball. Missouri didn't have the ball very much in that game, but they ran it when they needed to. And LSU was just essentially inept. You look at the total yardage in this game, and LSU was 173 passing and under 60 rushing. In terms of your total offense in this game, 232. And you won time of possession. That's another thing that we wanted to talk about last week. Of like, hey, you got to go out there and control time of possession in this game with the ground game. And LSU won time of possession. Won it by about 3 minutes. But you weren't effective when you had the ball. And I thought LSU did some things differently in this game. Early on, very, very obvious. You're going to move the pocket a little bit. Get Garrett Nussmeier moving, help the offensive tackles, make the pass rush a little bit less effective, cut down half the field, and let's go. And they did that well. Garrett Nussmeier threw the ball well on the run a couple times. That looked good. You didn't have as many RPOs. I know Matt Flynn has talked about that a ton on the morning show. There weren't as many of those. You got under center. You ran play action from under center. There were some things LSU tried to do differently, but ultimately, it's not good enough. You're not explosive. Did not create explosive plays in the game. You look at the big play numbers. Alabama did some of that. Gains of 15 plus. They had 7 of them. LSU did not have a play in the game over 20 yards. Bama had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. LSU had none. So you're not explosive. You're not consistent on the ground. And you basically limit yourself offensively to just short passing game. That's kind of what you are. Just a lot of screens. And it's two different play callers. And I ultimately think that it kind of boils down to the fact that your offensive line just doesn't get the job done. They just don't. And it's not 100% that. We're going to talk. I'm compartmentalize this show here. We're going to talk quarterbacks exclusively in the next segment. I'm not burying that aspect to it. It's massive. But they played the game. I want to talk about this. Frank Wilson talked about the quarterbacks today. I want to do that. We're sticking with the game on Saturday night. It's not 100% on the offensive line, but I think that there is a significant feeling that there's too big a risk to try to stretch it down the field because the offensive line's not going to hold up for that. And then you look at the running statistics, and we've had two different play callers now, Joe Sloan and Alex Atkins, same ineffective running. You know it's not because the running backs can't do it. Those guys are talented players. So you've eliminated the ability to throw the ball deep, and you don't run it very well. How easy is that to defend for a defense? I don't have to worry about getting beat deep, and I don't have to worry about them mauling me at the point of attack and essentially chipping away 5-8 yards at a time. Now it's just some short stuff on the outside. Play press coverage, tell your corners to make sure they tackle, creep the safeties up, ball game. And that's all Alabama had to do on Saturday. You created some drives, but you can't finish them. And that's largely because you can't run the ball when you get down there. It's incredibly frustrating. It's really is surprising to me. We talked about all August. Said all August, hey, this thing could come apart if the offensive line really struggles. And we're out there, and they can't block Bernard Gooden, and the sacks are piling up, and the running game's not good except for one play a day. They break a long one. And I said, if this thing goes really south, it's probably because the offensive line's not good. And I guess that did happen. But it's tough to look at this offense, and I've done this exercise a billion times, so I apologize for being so repetitive. But it's the way I feel. Like, I know some of these guys are really good SEC players. Like, Berrien Brown has a track record. Xavier Thomas has a track record. Aaron Anderson, when he's healthy, has a track record. Bauer Sharp played last year. Caden Durham had some big games last year. Harlan Berry's had some big games this year. Trey'Daz Green, we know, is a matchup problem. Garrett Nussmeier threw for 4,000 yards last year. And it just doesn't work. And I can't look beyond what they do up front. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe somebody who's got a deeper knowledge of what goes on in the X's and O's can more adequately relay this. But every single team, all of them, 100% of the Power 4 teams that Alabama played this year did a better job than LSU offensively. 100%. Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida State, everyone is more effective than that. And that's hard for me to reconcile because I'm confident that all of those teams don't have significantly better players than LSU. How else am I supposed to say that? Everyone is better than you against that team. That's hard to swallow. And everyone's going to try to pin blame, and you'll hear offensive line, you'll hear Joe Sloan, you'll hear Garrett Nussmeier, you'll hear Brian Kelly, you'll hear all of it. And nobody's blameless here. But as a collective, as a unit, this group that continues to go out week after week after week and cannot crack 25 points in an era of college football where points for a lot of teams seem pretty easy to come by is still, in the big picture, pretty stunning when you look at the collection of athletes LSU has on the outside. It's pretty stunning. Now, I mentioned we're divvying blame here. I gave you all those names, all those departments, all those things. Quarterback is obviously the biggest story in this game. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to come back and give you my thoughts on Saturday, my thoughts moving forward, and what Frank Wilson had to say today. We'll do that on the LSU quarterbacks when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. GV80, just an awesome midsize SUV. The likelihood is, as you're driving around Capital City today, or if you're listening to us on demand while you're working out or while you're driving around, whatever the case may be, you maybe have never been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Most probably haven't. It's fairly new to the game. And maybe you're in the market for a vehicle right now. Maybe you're not. Maybe that time comes 2026. But when that time does come, if you've never been behind the wheel with Genesis, just put Genesis on your list. Go by and see them. They're on airline at Piku. Incredible facility, phenomenal staff, an amazing line of vehicles. Just go try them out. You'll sense that luxury. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. You'll be treated wonderfully there on site at Genesis of Baton Rouge. If you make that purchase, you'll get America's best warranty with it. 3 years, valet complimentary maintenance, just a part of that warranty. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge on airline at Piku and online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. At Locke Meredith Sean Fagan and Associates, we know each case and client are unique, and that no two cases are the same. But one thing remains constant, and that is our passion to help our clients. After an accident, we know your life has changed, which is why we passionately fight to make you and your family whole. Remember, whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555. We're here to serve you.
family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Let's talk about the Saints getting in the win column here coming up in our next segment. We'll stick with LSU for now. I wrote this in my column at LouisianaSports.net post-game. It just kind of occurred to me as I was watching the end of the fourth quarter on Saturday night. You know, the LSU-Alabama game has been kind of a defining moment for a lot of LSU's great quarterbacks this century. It started with Rohan Davey throwing for an SEC record in Tuscaloosa. Josh Reed set an SEC record in receiving yards that day as well, but just an amazing performance those guys had in Tuscaloosa. 4 years later, Jamarcus Russell completed overtime pass to Dwayne Bowe to win in 2005. Even 2011, I don't know that I would pin that on Jordan Jefferson and Jarrett Lee as a phenomenal quarterbacking effort in that game, but obviously that was a huge win in the game of the century, and Jefferson came in and ran the option and got LSU to the finish line with a victory that game. But then you continue to move further down the line, and you look at, I mean, Matt Flynn had a huge fourth down conversion to Early Doucette to score a touchdown and win that game in 2007 in Tuscaloosa. You look at Joe Burrow in 2019 outdueling Tua Tagovailoa and just scoring a ton of points in that game. You look at Jaden Daniels with the overtime pass to Mason Taylor to win in that game, ultimately winning the SEC West that season. Like, every single great quarterback you can point to over the last 25 years has had an indelible moment against Alabama. And I say that, and I'm sitting there on Saturday night watching Garrett Nussmeier stand on the sidelines in what could have been his Alabama moment as a senior in Tuscaloosa. It didn't happen. One drive into the third quarter, the decision was made to bench Garrett Nussmeier. And I think it was the right decision. Here's what I think. I think Garrett Nussmeier is a horrible fit for LSU's current personnel. It's taken me a long time to come to that realization, but here I am. Because Garrett Nussmeier is quarterbacking an offense that is the worst in the SEC for the second consecutive season at running the ball. That he has very little to do with that other than the fact that he can't run himself. But like the fact that LSU's offensive line and running backs do not create a push and in fact are the worst at doing so in the SEC puts a ton of pressure on the quarterback then to kind of carry everything. And then the defenses know they don't have to respect the run. They can rush the passer. And he can't evade that rush, and his offensive line, specifically at tackle, where you've got a true freshman on one side and a revolving door at right tackle where you benched Weston Davis and went with Ori Williams. Like, the most important part of your pass protection formation is leaky. That's the worst situation a pocket passing, immobile quarterback can be in. No run game, bad tackles. Like, how? That's the worst recipe you could have for a quarterback that's got Garrett Nussmeier's skill set. For Garrett Nussmeier's skill set to work in the Southeastern Conference in this era of college football, you need a steady ground game and the ability to protect him so that he can go to work down the field. And last year, you did have that protection, and last year he was productive. This year, you don't have the protection, and that happened. Two things happen when that happens. One, you give up pressures, sacks, all that. Two, the quarterback thinks you're going to give up pressures and sacks, so he no longer is as effective reading the field. I think that's happening with Garrett Nussmeier. I think mentally he's surveying the line of scrimmage more than he's surveying down the field. And that's on him to an extent, but it's also a natural human emotion. It's a natural human reaction. Like, these guys may not get the job done. Like, I need to brace myself. And because of it, he's playing very poorly. And you needed to go to Michael Van Buren on Saturday. You needed to. Because Van Buren gives you some athleticism. He's not Jaden Daniels. He's not Michael Vick, but he can move. And he did so. And you need someone in this offense that can tuck it and go get you 11 on 3rd and 8. You need someone in this offense who can make that edge rusher who just beat the tackle miss and extend the play. Van Buren did some good things on Saturday. He did those two things I just mentioned, moving around. He also completed less than 50% of his throws. Some of his completions were not good throws that his receivers had to make acrobatic catches on. He's far from a polished product out there. We saw that in fall camp. But the dimension that he offers gives this LSU personnel the best shot. He can run some read option stuff. He can make guys miss in the backfield. He can extend plays. He can tuck it and go. And this is the kind of quarterback, if I have my druthers, that LSU is going to have moving forward. Somebody who can move the sticks when things break down. You look across the SEC, and really, Ty Simpson is the only guy that isn't a really good athlete. And he's a good athlete, but he's not Taylon Green. He's not Marcel Reed. He's not those guys. He is winning it from the pocket, and he's doing a great job of that, and they don't have a great running game. But I would submit that that's probably going to cost Alabama down the stretch. I think it's going to cost them in the playoffs. I mean, they scored 20 points on LSU. But this LSU offense needs Van Buren's help. And so I would start him moving forward. And that's a tough thing because Garrett Nussmeier's put a lot into this program. But he's a bad fit for what LSU currently has. He just is. Now, Frank Wilson was asked about it today. And Frank Wilson was very non-committal. Matt will have the sound on AFR. It's too tight of a window to get it turned around for my show when he has that press conference at 1 o'clock, at noon on Mondays. But essentially, and I'm paraphrasing here, Frank Wilson said, both guys will get reps this week. Garrett is still going to get number 1 reps this week, and we'll probably play both guys in the game on Saturday. And that's kind of the line he's going to give on Monday. What that looks like in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practices, we'll see. I would expect both guys will play, and I don't expect that Garrett Nussmeier is just going to be cast aside. Because, one, he's the leader of the team. He's 18. He's a fifth-year senior quarterback, and he's been here for 5 years. And two, it's not like 10 years ago where the backup quarterback 95% of the time was going to be the quarterback the next year. So you start to develop some chemistry and some rhythm and get some reps for next year. Michael Van Buren might be LSU's quarterback next year. Michael Van Buren might be Texas A&M. Well, that's a bad example. Marcel Reed's coming back. He might be SMU's quarterback next year, for all I know. To be clear, that's based on no information. That's just the landscape. Quarterbacks transfer all the time. He might be LSU's starting quarterback. He might be LSU's backup quarterback. He might transfer out. Like Garrett Nussmeier is not going to be the quarterback next year. But there used to be a time where you would get the backup quarterback reps because he was your guy next year. We don't even have a coaching staff for this year. These guys that are calling plays may not be here next year. So there's not eyes on 2026 in that building the way that there would have been years ago. It's just a different era with transfers, and now you've got a coach firing. So this is about this team. And what they do the next 3 games is about this team. And I think for this team, Garrett Nussmeier is going to be involved, but I think I would go with Michael Van Buren because I think he gives this team the best chance to win. And that's a hard thing to swallow and say because we sat here in August and looked at Heisman odds, and we sat here in August and talked about the college football playoff, and Garrett Nussmeier still has an opportunity to become the second leading passer in the history of LSU football. That's a realistic possibility for him. I'll have to check and see what the numbers are. I forgot to do that. But it's Hodson, Burrow, and Nussmeier. He's already third, and he can pass Burrow. So to just cast that guy off to the side is a mouthful when you're not even done with the season. And what we saw from Michael Van Buren in August was not super inspiring. Now, keep in mind, second offensive line, not exactly giving you a ton of protection, and working against an LSU defense can be difficult, but it was not good in August. But maybe he's just kind of a gamer. He was 5 of 11 in the game. And, he needs Trey Green to help him out with the catch there, and that makes it closer to over 50%. But I think that he's the guy that you need to go to from this point. I'm going to talk later in the week about Garrett Nussmeier and his time at LSU and his story. And there were a lot of people that were very critical of Nussmeier for getting emotional once again on the sideline. You can miss me with that. There's a lot of people that are suggesting like, oh, this kid's making a ton of money. Like, just he's not playing worth a damn. Like, who cares? And like, I see it as on a more human level than that. It's not like Garrett Nussmeier like demanded money or, was the first player to receive any money. Like, he's an SEC quarterback. They get money. And I don't think that because his checking account's bigger than it was 3 years ago, or he makes more money this year than me or you may at your job this year. Like, I just don't think that gives you a reasonable reason to go after the kid when he doesn't play well. Now, if he doesn't give effort, if he says something you really don't like, but none of that ever happens. This kid plays as hard as he can, and he cares. Like, in an era where so many players are in this for, okay, where's my NIL deal? I don't really care about the school I'm at. Like, who can pay me the most? This is a kid that stayed here 5 years. It's a kid that really cares about LSU. And for LSU fans to turn on a player that cares that much about LSU and has worked that hard for LSU, like, that's tough for me to sit there and watch. I'll be honest with you. I just told you I don't think he should be the starting quarterback. I just told you I think he's a bad fit for the offense. I just told you I'd go forward with another guy. I'm not absolving Garrett Nussmeier of anything. He has not played well this year. There are reasons for that. I don't know how big the injury was. I don't know how much to pin on the offensive line. I don't know how much to pin on Joe Sloan. I don't know how much to pin exactly on Garrett Nussmeier. But I can tell you confidently that he cares, and that what I led this segment off with talking about the great quarterbacks that have had their moment against Bama, and for Garrett Nussmeier's senior year Bama game, for him to be holding his helmet on the sideline, by the way, cheering his team on, and then getting emotional at the end because that happened to him, and watching his dream kind of slip away, where he's always, even though he's lived all over the country, wanted to play for LSU, and for that to be slipping away right now, like, that's an emotional thing. It would be more concerning to me if he didn't care, if he was just motionless, if he was emotionless, if he was just, chuckling on the sideline. Like, if he did not care, that would be something that I would care about. Kid that cares too much or gets too emotional, I'm not going to criticize that. His play hasn't been good enough. LSU's offense, as I mentioned in the first segment, hasn't been good enough. But this deal where LSU fans are turning on Garrett Nussmeier turns my stomach a little bit. And I'm apprehensive about Saturday. I'll talk about it later in the week, but I'm apprehensive about being in that stadium on Saturday. And I think y'all get where I'm coming from there. We'll see. Saints got to win. That's a positive for the weekend. Let's talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal folks to work with on the insurance side of things. If you're a January 1st renewal and you'd like a second set of eyes on your renewal for your commercial insurance program, let the Highland Insurance Group take a look. Like, it's time to do that now. Like, you need a good 6 weeks to get a full audit and then have that new second option presented. You don't want to rush that at the end of the year. A lot of folks out of the office, just not a great time to get that done. If you want a second option, you're a little concerned what your renewal might look like, the Highland Insurance Group is happy to help you out with that. They're the best. They've got incredible technical knowledge, phenomenal relationships throughout the insurance industry. They're an independent broker, which means they can shop with dozens of carriers. They're not just one of these agents that can only sell what they can sell. They've got contracts with carriers all over the place, and they've got clients in all different lines of work, so they'll know what your needs are and where your insurance needs to be placed. So if you've got a January renewal and you'd like a second set of eyes, you'd like a second option, the Highland Insurance Group would be happy to help you out with that. They're here in Baton Rouge. You can fill out the Contact Us form at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group online at HighlandIG.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. there are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Banking on the go? Our mobile app makes it effortless. But at Campus Federal, you're more than just an account number. We build relationships with our members, supporting you from saving for college to owning your first home. If you're buying a car, planning a home renovation, or a vacation, we're here to help. Campus Federal Credit Union, your trusted financial partner for every stage of life. Start your journey today.
Mornings with Brian Haldane is the only live and local talk show in the capital city. Get the news from the newsmakers, along with traffic and weather updates throughout the morning. The conversation starts weekday mornings at 6 on Talk 107.3.
I'm lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hello, I'm Collins Meredith. If you've been injured on the job, you'll likely have a workers' compensation claim, but you may also have a tort claim which opens up significant recovery rights not normally available for a work injury. If this is you, call us or come see us at Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personal.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Kind of a wacky Sunday in the National Football League. You had the Bills just going way down to the Dolphins there, which was an odd score to look up and see. There were a number of those in the NFL yesterday. It's just a week-to-week league. It really is. I mean, there are some teams that certainly rise to the top over the course of 17 games, but you just see odd results like week in and week out. Like Ravens took it to the Vikings. I know that having Lamar back is a big deal for them. But you saw the Texans beat the Jaguars. The Rams just went nuts in San Francisco, which was interesting to see. But another one of those results that probably surprised some people was the Saints getting that win over Carolina 17-7 on Sunday. I picked Carolina to win the game, and it was pretty simple. I just felt like the Panthers would run the football on the Saints. They had done that with Rico Dowdle for really the better part of a month, and the Saints have been gashed on the ground more often than not. And the Saints got off the bus on Sunday, and they weren't going to let Rico Dowdle get loose, and he just didn't. He had 18 carries for 53 yards. That's less than 3 yards per carry. His long on the day, he had busted some really explosive runs really every week, and his long run was 14 yards in the game. And so I know that the story for most feels like Tyler Shuck because he gets to win in his second start, and he looked pretty efficient, and we'll talk about him, certainly. That's a nice storyline in the game. But the story in this game is the defense. The Saints held the Panthers to 7 points. They shut down that rushing attack, and we did say back on Friday, like, Bryce Young is still one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Statistically, he is. Record-wise, he is. He just is. He's not a very good NFL quarterback. The Panthers are winning because their defensive front with Derek Brown is very, very disruptive, and they run the ball very, very well. And that's why they were winning games. And the Saints took that running game away and put more on Bryce Young, and you saw what Bryce Young is, 17 out of 25, 124 yards, turned the ball over with an interception, got sacked a couple times. His QBR, I got a chuckle out of this when I looked it up today, QBR of 13.2 for Bryce Young on Sunday. So major hat tip to the New Orleans Saints defense. to Brandon Staley, to the two linebackers, Demario Davis and Pete Werner. Those two guys, it's one of those deals. Sometimes I like to see what Pro Football Focus tells me after what the TV tells me, or if I'm at Tiger Stadium covering LSU, like what the game tells me. And I'm watching the game, and I'm like, Davis and Werner are everywhere. Like you just sense that watching the game, and then you turn on and they were their two highest graded players on the defense on Pro Football Focus. When you face a team that is having the success the Panthers are having running the football, they've got a big, physical, mean offensive front that's done a really nice job this year. Your linebackers have got to show up, and they've got to bring their hammer. And Demario Davis and Pete Werner, I thought, were awesome in this game. Now, let's go to Tyler Shuck. Obviously, that's number 2 here, beyond the defense, which held the Panthers to 7 points. I thought Shuck looked really comfortable. I really did. I thought that he oftentimes held the ball and got through reads and progressions. He mentioned in the postgame a couple of his throws were really late in his progression. Thought the touchdown that he threw out to Juwan Johnson was a really nice play. And, hey, you hit a big play to Chris Olave. There was a lot of positive chatter on Twitter about the throw to Olave on the deep ball. I thought it was a good throw. I think it helps when the corner falls. I think that's generally speaking a helpful thing. I'm not taking anything away from Tyler Shuck on the play, but the corner did fall down. But it was dropped in nicely. Olave makes the catch. And, hey, you got to take shots. You got to push the ball down the field. That was my biggest issue with Spencer Rattler early in the season, is there just wasn't enough effort to get the ball down the field. He finally did in weeks 4, 5, 6, like a little bit down the line, but just too much around the line of scrimmage. And Shuck put the ball up there. This guy's a first-round pick. We've criticized him all year, and I think for good reason. But you've got, if that's one of your guys out there, and now you don't have Shaheed anymore, you've got to try to get down the field. And they take the shot, and Olave comes down with a 62-yard touchdown. Juwan Johnson had a 52-yard catch. And he got a lot of different guys involved. He got Kamara involved on the checkdowns 3 times, hit Foster Morrow twice. Vele had a 15-yard catch. Sire Mitchell-Patton had a catch. Didn't really count on him being involved in the game. But I thought that Shuck just looked comfortable. Let's keep in mind, like, to me, if the Saints defense stinks on Sunday and the Panthers score 31 points and New Orleans scores 17 and plays exactly the way they did on offense, I don't think we're throwing an absolute party for Tyler Shuck for creating 17 points on the road at Carolina. But I did think it was good. I did think he looked comfortable. I did think he distributed the ball well. He shows some traits that you like. And this was always going to be an opportunity, despite what the Panthers' record is. They were above 500. They were 5-4. This is not a great team in Carolina. This is always going to be a chance for the Saints to be competitive. I picked them to lose. I picked them to lose by 2 scores because I was disheartened by what you were seeing by the defense in previous weeks. And the offense wasn't a world beater on Sunday, but the defense showed up and played awesome. And I thought Shuck played winning football. Stat line, good, 19 of 27. 282 and 2 touchdowns. Didn't have an interception. QBR was 65. But he did what he needed to do to win the football game, which was make some real plays on 3rd downs, hit the deep shot when it was there, check it down when it was there, don't turn it over, and let the defense carry the day. And then in the end, you saw Taysom Hill come in and kind of run a bit of a 2-minute offense, 4-minute offense, as it were, to run the clock out and get the win. And I thought that was really, really good. The win is nice for the guys in the locker room. It's a slog to go through and lose as many games as the Saints have lost. I know there's a portion of the fan base that's kind of looking and going, really like to get the top pick in the draft, like don't want to win too many games. And I get that. It's not the spot you want to be in as a fan base, to kind of have that thought creeping around in the back of your mind. But on the other side of things, ideally you want Tyler Shuck to emerge as your starting quarterback so you can use that early pick that you're going to have in this draft somewhere else. That's what you'd like to do. And I thought Sunday was a step in the right direction. You now enter the bye week. You've got some good vibes, some good feeling about it. You've got a quarterback who's probably going to enter the bye week with some confidence because you come off of a win. All that is very, very positive for the culture in that locker room. It's very difficult for a first-year coach keep banging his head against the wall when you're sitting there at 1-8. And now you go to a bye week. You're going to come back, home game, Falcons. Dome probably has some life to it because you're coming off a win, and Shuck played pretty well. Then you've got a trip to Miami that is manageable. I don't love your chances at Tampa, but then your next 3 are eminently winnable when you got the Carolina coming to the Dome, the Jets coming to the Dome, and take a trip to Tennessee. And maybe you start to see a little bit of that energy come up. Maybe you start to see things start to change a little bit on the back half. You need something good to happen before things can change. And to me, you saw some good things happen on Sunday. None of it was incredibly flashy. Like it's a workmanlike 17-7 win. But it's a step in the right direction. And again, on a day where there were some results where you look at the scoreboard and go, huh, really? Like, the Saints got it done. And that's a really, really good sign for this team. You're not as good as you were 3 weeks ago because you've traded away your best offensive weapon and you've traded away one of your starting offensive linemen and your center's out for the year. And, like, you have some significant issues. And they're not done playing clunkers. They're not done playing stinkers. They're not done losing games. But you take the positive where it is. I have not been very optimistic about the Saints really all of this calendar year. I haven't, and I think that's been warranted, and I think that that's a realistic reflection of where this franchise is. I ripped the entire front office last week, and I think for good reason because of where this franchise is. But you also got to call a spade when it's on the positive side of things, and Sunday was a positive for the Saints. It was a positive for Tyler Shuck. It was certainly a positive for Brandon Staley and that defense, and hat tip to them for getting it done and getting a win, coming back in for the bye week. It'll be a more enjoyable bye week coming off a victory for the Saints, that's for sure. So let's look at the Saints. Jordan, you I'm assuming watched it. It was a noon game, maybe not a nap time kickoff for a 3 o'clock there. So yeah, I'm assuming you were able to watch there. What'd you see?
Tyler's got me pretty shucked up, so okay. that's pretty good. I'll say this, you did say he felt like he played a lot free. I feel like he played like he didn't care. Not care in a bad way, but like there was no ramifications to, like, let me just go ahead and play ball. Like he played just, it wasn't, he popped off the screen and did the most amazing stuff.
He didn't throw for 425 and 4 touchdowns or anything.
But he did what needed to be done to win the game, and that's all you can ask for. You did bring up how, we got a little bit of life. You got the Falcons is reeling. You got them coming in a couple weeks. Dome's going to be live. But you kind of don't want to keep winning, but you want to see what you got out of Shuck. So, and then you just said with the Jets and the Titans, like those games are going to be ooh-wee. Those are going to be, we trying to fight for last. But you got to take the positives. Defense played a hell of a game. And honestly, the final score was 17-7. But it felt bigger than that a little bit. Maybe because you had the all whites. I know you're not a uniform guy. The icy all
I'm
whites.
a huge uniform guy. I'm okay with the Saints wearing the all whites.
I'm about to say the all whites. When you look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. I just feel like we had to win that game because the last time you wore them, Seattle just closed the book on you fast. So the positives are you got to see what you got in Shuck. You got something, maybe. But let's keep the momentum rolling. Let's beat the Falcons, and then we'll talk about losing after that.
It's going to be tough to lose some of those games after that.
Yeah, it's
we'll
going to be
see.
real tough.
Saints can probably do it, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult than it was against some of the better teams early on in the schedule. So that's a look at the New Orleans Saints. Ross Jackson's got our Saints coverage over at LouisianaSports.net. He's got a Pro Football Focus piece that just went up on the grades there. Top 5 graded players, bottom 5 graded players. Tyler Shuck, one of the top 5 graded players on PFF for New Orleans back on Sunday. So a great step in the right direction for the rookie quarterback. Ross has got all your coverage there for free on LouisianaSports.net. When we come back, a report from the Advocate yesterday, as well as some writing earlier today on where LSU is in the buyout with Brian Kelly. They have offered 2 settlements. Those have been rejected. There's been a deadline issued. What's the situation with LSU and Brian Kelly and the buyout? We do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. One of the jobs that they do a lot of there at One Bath and Closets, and if this is something that you're familiar with, you may need to pick up the phone and make a phone call. If you've got a bathroom that maybe was designed in the late 80s, early to mid 90s, maybe even right around the turn of the century, if that's the case and you've got a standing shower and a big old jacuzzi, they do transformations for those dated bathrooms all the time. They take that standing shower and make that into a linen closet, and then they take the spot where that big jacuzzi tub is that you may never use, maybe it doesn't function anymore, and turn that whole space into a walk-in shower. Completely transforms the look of your bathroom. They can handle all the woodworking and the vanities as well as the shower and the tub. All that comes under one contractor. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. You don't have to make multiple calls. you just make the call to David and his team. They come in and transform your bathroom, modernize your home, add value to your home, make it more comfortable, stylish, beautiful. That's what they do at One Bath and Closets. So get that free consultation. That part doesn't cost you anything. It's all there at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
Banking on the go? Our mobile app makes it effortless. But at Campus Federal, you're more than just an account number. We build relationships with our members, supporting you from saving for college to owning your first home. If you're buying a car, planning a home renovation, or a vacation, we're here to help. Campus Federal Credit Union, your trusted financial partner for every stage of life. Start your journey today.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1 here. We'll get to my SEC picks against the spread. Talk some SEC football. In the first segment of hour number 2, we'll have Denton Day along with us in 45 minutes talking national college football as well. So plenty to do. I appreciate you starting your work week here with us. Brian Kelly, there's been some reporting. The Advocate has uncovered some information and wrote about it yesterday and then again today about the buyout situation with Brian Kelly. As you're all well aware, upon the termination of Brian Kelly, he was owed $54 million contractually. That was 90% of the remainder of his contract that runs through 2031. So LSU owed him essentially $800,000 a month if you just wanted to continue to pay him through 2031, $54 million. The thought from the outside was that LSU would attempt some sort of settlement with Brian Kelly. And in the Freedom of Information reporting that Chris Nakamoto did over at WAFB, he found an email from Brian Kelly sent to Scott Woodward, Verge Osbury, and some LSU administrators that said, per our discussion, I'd be open to a settlement of some sorts, of course, if it makes sense financially. And so we now have learned that LSU reportedly offered Kelly $20 million lump sum up front. And then later on, upped that to $25 million lump sum up front. And it appears that Kelly has rejected both of those. And I would submit that's the right thing to do. Brian Kelly agreed to a contract with LSU. He's owed that money. Now, the other side of this is why would anyone settle for less money? Well, if Brian Kelly just wants money up front and wants to make sure that whatever he collects from LSU is not offset if he wants to go do television or if he wants to go coach again next year, then yeah, it might make sense to take a little bit less than the 54 in a lump sum up front, and then you can continue your earnings. Because if he is going to make $800,000 a month from LSU and he becomes a head coach next year and he's getting paid, $600,000 a month, then he's only going to get $200,000 a month from LSU, because all LSU has to do is make up the difference if he decides to coach somewhere else. So there are some scenarios in which the settlement does make sense. It's not complete pie in the sky for LSU to look for a settlement. There are financial reasons why it might make sense. It's not going to make sense if you cut $34 million off of the entirety of the agreement. That was never going to work. So Brian Kelly's attorneys reportedly, according to the Advocate, have given LSU a deadline of 5 o'clock Central Time today. So you're talking about 3 hours and change from today to state that they are going to pay for the remainder of that. They intend to pay the remainder of the content. Now, that doesn't mean that LSU can't offer a settlement at any point. They certainly can. You're still under that contract, and you are contractually allowed to pay Brian Kelly $800,000 a month until 2021. You don't have to lump sum anything or agree to settlement terms at all. As long as LSU says, yeah, we'll give you $800,000 a month the rest of the way, you can continue to negotiate that, and if you find a settlement you think makes sense, you can do that. I'm not privy to those conversations. No one is, and we'll see what the result of it is. I know this has garnered a lot of eyeballs from around the country. I know that obviously the governor got involved 2 weeks ago. There's been a lot of discussion about this. I don't know ultimately what the final decision is going to be. I don't get the sense from the reporting that we've done that there's a lot of animus here. I don't get the sense that LSU's trying to pull a fast one. That certainly could change if different things are brought up and then that there actually is some fighting over money. I think right now it's more about just trying to make it make sense in terms of dollars and cents between LSU and Brian Kelly. If you're LSU, of course, you'd like to conserve some of your boosters' funds to go hire a new coach. But as we heard from the Board of Supervisors 2 weeks ago, I have no indication that the state's going to be on the hook for any of this or that it's going to be an issue to come up with the funds. I realize the governor said that no one had run up to the mansion with the $54 million check. I don't anticipate that happening either. I think LSU and Brian Kelly will work this out between their legal teams and the funds will get paid. How that ends up happening, I think, it really depends on what Brian Kelly wants to do moving forward. If Brian Kelly is like I would be at his age and saying, I'm not going to get in this rat race anymore, I'm just going to collect the money, I don't know that you're going to settle significantly off that $54 million. But if you can work in that his future earnings are not going to be offset, maybe you can shave a few bucks off the top here, but we'll just have to see when that day comes. For right now, LSU's just got to declare they're going to honor that contract in the next 3.5 hours. I anticipate they will do that, and those will be ongoing. I can envision a scenario where lawyers get involved and this thing ends up in a courtroom. I just don't know if that's going to happen. So I think that the cooler heads will prevail and that this happens. But to be clear, on my end, like if I'm Brian Kelly and I agreed to a contract worth $95 million, and in that contract it says you owe me 90% of the remainder of the contract if I'm terminated without cause, like I'm going to need the money. Like I don't think you would be hard pressed to find anybody who disagrees with that. I'm sure there's someone out there, but it's certainly not me. Like if I agree to a contract that says that's what I'm owed, I'm going to take what is owed to me financially for that. So we'll see what happens there. But right now, nothing nothing imminent as far as checks being cut. I think right now the plan for LSU is just to continue to pay that monthly installment, and then if there's something reached, you can change the way that shakes out. We'll see. I mean, I'm looking at the Bayou Ford chat. LSU agreed to the contract, pay BK his money. I'm right there with you. Like, you agree to that deal, you do it. And there are plenty of people that are real cranky with Scott Woodward about that. I understand that too. It didn't work. The coaching hire did not work. The terms of the contract now are a burden. I just think the way that everything was handled 2 weeks ago, probably not the way I would have done that. So let's finish up hour number 1 here. If you missed anything that we did today on demand, you can catch it wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. You can check us out, Hunt on LSU on YouTube, or wherever you find your podcast, Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcast, or on YouTube as well. First 30 minutes were on LSU, basically on the offense and what to do with the quarterback situation moving forward. We also touched on the Saints as they got in the win column back on Sunday. Lots moving in hour number 2 as well. We'll talk to Denton Day 35 minutes from now. When we come back, what happened in the Southeastern Conference on Saturday? We'll do that with my picks when we come back after SportsCenter.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. A coaching change made by the Giants off to a 2-8 start the third straight year. They've fired head coach Brian Daboll. New York won a playoff game his first season, but it's been downhill ever since. Assistant head coach and offensive coordinator Mike Kafka is the interim coach. Joe Shane remains the GM and will lead the search for a new coach, and there'll be plenty of interest in that job, partly because of Jackson Dart, says ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter.
Whoever coaches this team that will be taking over a very attractive roster. It has a young quarterback, though he has obviously had issues this year staying on the football field and with concussion protocols. They've got Malik Neighbors, Cam Scatterbo. There is a lot of talent on this roster.
Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow returned to practice today, opening the 21-day window to come off injured reserve. Burrow's been out recovering from surgery to repair a turf toe injury. Monday Night Football tonight, Packers, Eagles, 8 Eastern, ABC, and ESPN. NBA Magic point guard Jalen Suggs will not play tonight against the Trailblazers due to left knee injury management.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ Chris Candy coming up Tuesday. Drake May has the patch rolling, but where will they land on my power rankings? Find out at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you starting your work week out with us. A little chilly out there. Hope you're staying warm. My wife is so excited. We're making soup tonight. She's turning on the fireplace. It's like her Super Bowl to have cold weather out there and get blankets out and stuff. I'd rather just be 105 degrees, frankly.
Ooh, I don't know about 105, but we
if we're
80s,
comparing,
80s.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with 80s too.
Yeah,
We're going to get 80s later this week.
Yeah.
But, I mean, getting out of the car this morning when it was like 39 to get the kids in school, it's terrible. I hate it.
I hate having to, when you wake up in the morning, having to get your car hot instead of just get into your car and going.
I do have the garage, which helps.
Okay.
I had a carport at the old house. I have a garage at this house. It's something I know now to never take for granted. Like, because I when I had the carport, it's like, yeah, you just get in a cold car. Now, got the garage. That's a big help. I was looking yesterday. I got up. I was in Kashad or whatever, and got up, and it was warm yesterday here. And I was looking through my Instagram, and all my Cubs people were getting ready to go to the Bears game, and they were all just like super bundled up. And I was like, "What's the temperature in Chicago?" So I looked it up. It was 33 and snowing yesterday.
No way. Can't do that.
I think T-Bob's got a rude awakening up there.
Oh no! I don't even want to drive in snowy conditions, so they got it.
That first cold blast of the year is upon us. It's chilly today, but I'll be back in the 80s by the end of the week, which is kind of where we prefer things around here. All right, Jordan. We had 4 games I picked on Friday. How do you think I did?
Not too good because what game I was looking at specifically? The Vandy game. I know they covered.
Vandy did cover.
I know they covered
in overtime.
But
I needed overtime to go exactly like that.
I'm about
to get
to
the
say,
cover.
but I was like, I kind of like Auburn in that spot. I feel like Auburn needed to win one of these games, and that wasn't a win.
I was taking points with Mississippi State and Missouri, both at home, and they both got boat raced, so we lost those. But we won the 2 late games, won Auburn and Vanderbilt, and we won Kentucky, Florida. I had Kentucky who just destroyed Florida.
Look, everybody wanted Mississippi State to beat Georgia, and I thought they had a good chance. Georgia literally just shut that up so fast and just ruined my whole Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it was 24-7 at halftime, and they kept piling it on. It was just a complete bloodbath there. So I was 2-2, 2-2 week. So no harm, no foul there.
Bad.
Well, I mean, we're so far behind 500 that we didn't have winning weeks, but we had a 2-2 week there. Let's talk about the action though in the games. I realize Missouri is playing with a backup quarterback. The backup quarterback does not play defense. And Texas A&M has scored at least 38 points in every SEC road game and every true road game, because they did in South Bend as well. Their offense is just really, really good. Marcel Reed gives them versatility. He is a playmaker. He was efficient in this game, threw for 221 and then ran for 29 more. He threw for 2 touchdowns, didn't turn it over. Ruben Owens ran for 2 touchdowns. He got Emmitt Smith's kid involved. EJ Smith, he goes for a touchdown as well. I mean, they hammered Missouri. It was 14-0 at halftime. It was just like a defensive slugfest, and then they turned it on and scored 24 points in the second half to kind of pull away and win it. You did see Missouri start to get something going, running the ball in the second half, and I think that the scoreboard had something to do with that. So when you look at the stats at the end of the game, and you'll go, "Oh, Missouri ran for 207 yards. Like, that's pretty good." A lot of it was when they were 2-3 scores behind in the second half, and it didn't really matter that much. But two things can be true. Two things can be very true. Texas A&M's schedule is as easy as you could make a Southeastern Conference schedule. It is. The toughest game that they've played to this point in the SEC is probably Missouri, and Missouri had a backup quarterback who's a freshman. I mean, maybe it's at LSU. I don't really think so. They certainly didn't treat it that way.
It's supposed to be.
Maybe you want to tell me that at Arkansas with that offense, but like Arkansas is winless in the league. And Florida's a disaster. Mississippi State has won one of their last 18 league games. Auburn's atrocious, fired their coach. Like, every game they've played has been against a team that is just not any good. I mean, these are their SEC wins. Auburn fired their coach. Mississippi State, 1 win in their last 18. Arkansas fired their coach. Florida fired their coach. LSU fired their coach. Missouri, backup quarterback who's a freshman. Like, it's the easiest Southeastern Conference schedule you could possibly play. And their next game's against South Carolina, who probably should fire their coach. Like, it's amazing. But I said two things can be true. Their schedule's really easy. They're also really good. And when you match those two things together, you're going to get a lot of blowouts. And they blew out Mississippi State, and they blew out Florida, and they blew out LSU, and they blew out Missouri. And they're going to be a force in this thing. Like, they've got a chance to win the national championship. I'm curious how it looks when they play Texas. If they win that game, I'm curious how it looks when they play Georgia or Bama, whoever it is that they play in the SEC championship game. And then we'll have a better idea of how they'll match up with Ohio State if they get there. But this team's good enough to do the whole thing. And that is appalling to me, but it doesn't make it any less true. So that's something that stood out to me. Offensively, they're really good. Defensively, Elko has been good. So I'm terrified about Texas A&M for sure at this point. Other storylines from the Southeastern Conference, this has got to be rock bottom for Florida. I mean, I realize you fired your coach, so how much further can you go? But what if I told you back in July when I'm in Atlanta at Stats Sports Bar in the hotel lobby where we spent 3 full days basically, said, hey, by the way, before you get to Thanksgiving, right around early November, Garrett Nussmeier and DJ Lagway are going to get benched.
Yeah, I would have said, you're crazy. You're crazy.
They're benched. LSU is now 2-4 in league play. Florida is 2-4 in league play, and they went up to Kentucky and just got absolutely throttled. I mean, crushed by a terrible Kentucky team. And I think Mark Stoops has probably saved his job because they went to Auburn and thumped them. They crushed Florida, and they're going to beat Tennessee Tech next week. So all of a sudden they'll have won 3 games in a row. Like, they're 4-5. That'll be their 5th win. If they can find a way to split Vanderbilt and Louisville, which I kind of doubt they'll do, but like, they'll get to a bowl game. Like, maybe if they go 5-7 by losing those 2 games, they'll fire him. Like, I think that's run its course there in Lexington. I don't think the Kentucky fans really like him very much because of the whole thing with Texas A&M. But like, he may have fought it off. It's crazy to consider, and I think it would be foolish of Kentucky to continue to keep him there because I don't think there's a future with him at Kentucky and turning the corner and being what they were for that like nice little 3-year run there. But it's certainly possible at this point, as they were good enough back on Saturday. The other games, Georgia, as I mentioned, all over Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State probably just ran out of gas. They've played some tough games. They played some really competitive games. They finally got the monkey off their back by beating Arkansas after being right there with Texas and right there with Florida and right there with Tennessee. But they're still not a very talented team, and Georgia is. And Georgia's kind of punked them, took it to them, beat them by 20 in a game that never was really close. And it's not a stunning result, quite frankly, but one that you certainly saw. And then Ole Miss wins the game. And keep in mind, like, Ole Miss is just chugging along at 9-1. They're ranked 6th in the country. I don't know if anybody's really talking about them outside of Lane Kiffin potentially taking the Florida or LSU jobs, but Ole Miss has Florida at home this week. Did you see Florida this week? I think Ole Miss has got a pretty good chance to win that game. Then they're at Mississippi State, and the Egg Bowl's weird. It's at 11 a.m., and I can find a world Mississippi State hangs in there and wins that game. But if Ole Miss splits those two games, which is the worst they can do, they're in the playoff. And that's something that matters to the people here in Baton Rouge if you think that Lane Kiffin is one to consider. Like, Lane is doing something that I'm kind of noticing. He tweeted a picture of the whole Kiffin family, including Chris Kiffin's family, his brother who works there, and put the home emoji on that 2 weeks ago. And he's talking. If you missed this, there was a proposal on the game. They told a guy that, hey, you're going to come down and kick a field goal. And he was in on the bit, and they brought him down the field, him and his girlfriend, now fiance. And instead of going to kick the field goal, he just proposed to her on the field at Vaught-Hemingway. And then Lane Kiffin came over and took a picture with him. And he mentioned in the press conference, like, crazy things happen here in the SIP. And he's really leaning in to the Ole Miss thing and it being home and and it just doesn't feel like he's going to pull that rug. Like, I think he would know if he was going to take the Florida or LSU jobs. And I don't think he would intentionally fan those flames if he knew where he was headed. And I might be crazy, and I might be naive, and I might be stupid, and we'll talk about it if I am. I have no problem mentioning how dumb something I said sounded. Happy to do it all the time. But I just don't know that it makes a lot of sense with the things we're seeing, with the fact that Ole Miss is going to go into the playoff, with the fact that he's sending all these tweets and saying all these things. Like, maybe if the New York Giants call him, you go coach Jackson Dart, like, okay, that may be a different deal that he couldn't have foreseen a couple days ago. But, like, right now, it just doesn't feel like he's going to Florida or LSU. That's just my gut. I don't know anything. It's just my gut. So that's a look at the Southeastern Conference back on Saturday. My record for the season against the number, a little bit better than it was 3 weeks ago, but still not very good. 36-46 on the year. 10 games under 500 with 3 weeks to go. We got to put in overdrive over the last 3 weeks.
You got to start nailing it. You got to start hitting out the park.
I don't like my odds. Come back with more Denton Day in 15 minutes at the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. If you're headed out for family vacation, family trip for Thanksgiving, headed with the family out for Christmas, and you don't want to put those miles on your vehicle, how about a rental from the folks over at Genesis? It's your opportunity to get behind the wheel of a Genesis for the first time if you have not. Could be the eye-opening experience that you need. You'll know if you're taking your family on that road trip that you're in an IHS top safety pick, because every single model, all of them on the line at Genesis, are top safety picks. Some of the safest cars on the road. You'll have that peace of mind. You'll also have that luxury driving experience. Stylish, sleek, comfortable, all the features that you're looking for. And if you don't really know, they'll show you over there at Genesis Baton Rouge, because their brand ambassadors are second to none. You'll be treated like a guest, not a customer. If you'd like to get behind the wheel of a rental, just reserve it for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Both are coming up, and they're happy to help you there. Airline at PQ or online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs, set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free, confidential help now.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Children's School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Chugging along here, Denton Day will be here in 15 minutes talking some National College Football storylines. Always enjoy our conversations with Denton on Mondays. Frank Wilson came to the podium today and gave a pretty long opening statement in his press conference. And one of the things he talked about was the decision-making right before the end of the first half. I talked about this on my post-game show. I really did not like the decision that LSU made there. If you need your memory refreshed, LSU was trailing 10-3 in the game. Your offense had done very little. You drove down and missed a field goal in your first drive. You went and got a field goal later on, but you weren't really in any sort of offensive rhythm. You had 3 points to your name, but LSU was getting the ball to start the second half, and you're only down by 7 points. So I think that was you were in a decent spot considering the way that your offense had played. And they got the ball kind of in the shadow of their own goalposts, and the clock was ticking, and LSU had made the decision they were going to try to go get some points before the end of the half, but they got to a 3rd and 11 with just over a minute to go in the half. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, 3rd and 11. You've got a situation where your tackles are iffy. 3rd and 11 is a very low percentage play. Even if you get the 11 yards, the odds that you're going to go down there and get points here are not great considering the way that your offense has played. Alabama had no timeouts. I wanted to just run it down to about 20 seconds, punt it just beyond midfield, and give Alabama with no timeouts very little chance to get into field goal range. Like, that to me was the wise way to do it based on your personnel, the spot in the game, the scoreboard. I just didn't think it was a time to be aggressive. And Garrett Nussmeier threw the ball away into the middle of the field, which I thought was a really bad decision as well. But you stopped the clock with a minute to go, 55 seconds to go. And then you punted, and Alabama hit the 2 big plays and got a touchdown right before the half, which was a complete backbreaker in the game. 17-3 is just eons different than 10-3. And I just really did not like the decision to go for that. I know that coaches, generally speaking, want to be aggressive. Frank Wilson talked today about the fact that he really felt like they had a good chance to go down and get points. You can tell me that Xavier Thomas was wide open on the play. That was pointed out by McElroy on the broadcast. Frank Wilson said it without saying it explicitly today, and I understand that. But you have to understand that when you decide to call that play, like, and to make that decision, like, one of the things that can happen is you miss a read. One of the things that can happen is you drop the ball. One of the things that can happen is you get sacked and fumble. One of the things that can happen is, like, there are a lot of bad things that can happen when you decide to do that. There's very little bad that can happen if you hand the ball off and run for 4 yards and the clock runs down to 20 seconds and you punt. Like, yeah, technically you could fumble on a running play. Yeah, you don't have the upside of potentially getting points if you do that. Like, but if you put the pros and cons list together, I have no interest on 3rd and 11 from the shadow of my own goalposts trying to be aggressive there and ended up stopping the clock and giving probably the best passing quarterback in the SEC 55 seconds to try to go make something happen. And you just, that was to me, it was a miscalculation by LSU staff. Frank Wilson backed it up today. He believes in it. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm saying what I think. My belief is that was the wrong decision to make on Saturday night, and I think it cost LSU, and it certainly made the game feel very, very different at 17-3 than it did at 10-3. So that's my 2 cents on that call back on Saturday. Frank Wilson obviously considered it heavily because he talked about it again today in his press conference. I want to briefly mention a little bit of basketball here today before we get to Denton Day and switch over back to football. LSU is on the hardwood tonight against UNO. I don't know how I feel about Jordan's ability to answer this question properly. He is a New Orleans guy, got a chance here, so we'll see.
I'm ready.
Who is the director of basketball operations at UNO?
Oh, come on, man. I'm from the city,
I know
man.
you're from,
Master P, of
okay,
course.
Sometimes UNO falls. Sometimes UNO slips through the cracks. Can we admit that?
Don't get me wrong, they do. They do. But it's just because Master P's there, they got the name. Yeah.
Well, Master P, Percy Miller, is in charge over their basketball ops. They brought in 10 new players. And they may have sprung the upset of week 1 in college basketball. UNO went to TCU. They were led by 20 in the first half and ended up holding on by a bucket to beat the Horned Frogs in Fort Worth. So it's a team that comes in with a win under its belt. They played a weird mid-season exhibition. They played their opener. Then over the weekend, they played SUNO, Southern New Orleans, in an exhibition that didn't count, but they played them. Now they're going to step back into games that do count tonight in the PMAC at 7 o'clock. LSU still significantly better team than UNO. They're a 20-point favorite tonight in the game. But an opportunity for LSU to get back on the floor after a solid effort in their first game. Just a couple things that I wrote about at LouisianaSports.net about this game tonight. Not a ton to dive into here, but there's a kid for UNO, Colton Benson, who is a shooter. He shot 13 threes. He only made 4, but he shot 13 threes at TCU. Last year, he shot 39% from long range at Texas State. He made 37 free throws in a row at one point last year. He was 5 for 7 from 3 in the exhibition win over SUNO over the weekend. So this is the guy that their offense runs through. You'll see him pretty early and often. He's going to be shooting a lot of shots. So LSU, I'm curious. I'm less concerned about what the defense they're in or what this Colton Benson, how are they going to deal with? I'm more interested in, okay, this is going to be the first chance that I get as a fan to see who Matt McMahon puts on someone who's clearly the other team's best player. He's not an SEC player, but clearly Benson is their best player. Who guards him? Is it Max McKinnon? Because this is a 6'2 guard. He's a 2 guard. Is it Max McKinnon just because Max McKinnon's LSU's 2 guard? Or does Pablo Tamba take that assignment because he's going to be their defensive stopper? Maybe Rashad King gets that assignment. He's been a good defender in his time. Whoever they put on him is going to do a fine job. This kid's not an SEC player. It's just okay, that's who they think their best defender is. And that's what I'm curious about watching this LSU team. So I want to see that. I also, and I mentioned this last week, I want to see Jalen Reese get a lot of minutes. He's LSU's freshman point guard. DJ Thomas is going to carry such a massive workload on this LSU team. But you can't ask him to play 38 minutes every night. You have to spell him some. And this part of the schedule, while it's really boring for the fans because they're going to beat all these teams by 20 points because they're not very good, it's a bad, soft, non-conference early schedule. But it is a chance for Jalen Reese to get minutes. He played 14 minutes back last week. I hope he gets 20 minutes tonight. That'd be awesome. He just needs reps because they need to be able to trust him for 6 to 8 minutes in league games. You just can't ask DJ Thomas to do everything when you get to January and February. He will wear down. So I think Jalen Reese's development needs to be expedited in these games against these lesser teams. So I'm curious to see him. And then LSU, just the issues they had in their first game that got covered up because they played an awful team and they shot 71% from the floor. They turned it over too much, 15 turnovers back in the game against Tarleton State. Got to clean that up. Got to keep that number closer to 10 tonight. And then the defense wasn't good enough early in the game. And that didn't manifest in the points that Tarleton State scored, and it didn't manifest itself in their shooting percentage. It manifested itself in the offensive rebound stats for Tarleton State because LSU was having to help on straight line drives, and because they were helping, which was effective, and they were causing misses with their help, there was nobody to block out on the other side of the rim, and Tarleton State was getting rebounds because you were getting beat off the bounce, and the help side defense was going over and couldn't rebound. So they got to play better defense and get on the glass. And I expect that they will do that. They're big. Now, UNO is really big for a mid-major team, a Southland team. They've got 7'2" kid. They got a couple kids over 6'9", and 6'10" player. Like Tarleton State didn't start anybody over 6'6", and that can it's hard to find big guys that can play. The big guys that can play don't play in the Southland. And so this is a spot here where usually you see they come in with like kind of a 6'8" big maybe. UNO's actually got some size. They'll get on the glass if you don't put a body on somebody. So for Michael Nwoku, Jalen Reed, for Robert Miller, for those guys, they gotta mix it up a little bit with some more size than they saw last week in the opener. But tip off at 7:00 tonight at the PMAC. It'll be streaming on ESPN Plus, and we'll mention it on tomorrow's show. I didn't want to spend an entire segment on hoops here in the heart of basketball when you're dealing with coaching buyouts and quarterback benchings and all that, but we've talked a lot of football today. Wanted to sneak in a little bit of basketball there. As Tigers and UNO 7:00 tonight from the PMAC. We'll step aside, come back with Denton Day, switch things back to football next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. Freezing cold this morning. Dark early. Like these are not ideal conditions to go work on your golf game, right? That's what the winter months are. It's just tough. But that's why a place like Swing Easy Golf Club is so awesome, because you go in to your private bay, climate controlled, you're indoors, and you can work on your game. You can go to that driving range setting on the simulator. You can watch the path of your shots. You can see your carry distance. You can see your ball speed, see that slow-mo visual of your club at impact. All this is really, really helpful, and it's a climate-controlled way to get great reps and work on your game during the winter. You don't want to bundle up, put a hoodie on, gloves, go out there and freeze when it's 40 degrees trying to hit golf shots on a day like today. You don't have to at Swing Easy Golf Club, and you can get a membership there so that you can have access hours per month for free with that membership. Go in there and ask them. They're on Segan at Perkins at Swing Easy Golf Club. You can find them online, swingeasygcbr.com. Swing Easy Golf Club here in Baton Rouge.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
Mornings with Brian Haldane is the only live and local talk show in the capital city.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Denton Day, SiriusXM, college football overtime Fridays and Saturdays, where you can find him. You can also find him here every Monday at 2:30. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Denton, how are we doing?
Hunt, what's up, man? It was a fun weekend of football, kind of boring, but we had some moments.
There were some moments. There was certainly a moment in Happy Valley. What do you make of the Indiana Hoosiers and their ability to win games like that?
That was really impressive. I was also impressed by Penn State in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It looked like they finally showed up, albeit about 6 weeks too late to save their season, but it was nice of them to finally show up to play a really good team. But Indiana finding a way to win was impressive. That was certainly the best drive of the game for them and for Mendoza. He finally showed a little bit of what I would call a Heisman pulse, because there was plenty of opportunities during the course of that game for him to blow Penn State out of the water and was then unable to do so. I did honestly adjust the way that I admire Indiana. Is admire the right word? I don't know that it is, but last weekend you had asked me, I would think that Indiana might be able to push Ohio State. I don't think that anymore. I think Ohio State is the absolute real deal, and Indiana's still good, but they're in a different weight class than Ohio State right now.
Let's stick in the Big Ten. I mean, when you look at Oregon gritting out that win, is that a positive for you, or is it a negative if they've got into a slog with Iowa?
If you look at it in just a one-game sample size, it's a positive. You go on the road to Iowa, for them, that's halfway across the country. Yeah. It's a weather game. It's rainy, and you come out of there with a win. That's a positive. When you take into consideration offensively how they played against Wisconsin, prior to playing Iowa, which was their last game, all of a sudden you're realizing maybe Dante Moore is not all as hyped up as we had thought he was. They have an offense problem in that they're not putting together great games of offense against teams that they should. As good as Iowa is defensively, and they are good, Oregon should be smacking them around. They should, and they're not able to do so. I still like Dante Moore. I still think he does a bunch of things really well, but I am starting to get just a little worried about Oregon in that what happens when they happen to play teams that can play offense and you can't, because they've gotten really lucky with only 21 against Wisconsin, where Dante Moore doesn't throw for 100 yards, but it's Wisconsin. And the same thing with Iowa. You only score 18 against them. He struggles again in the passing game, but It's Iowa. They can't put up the magnitude of points that other teams can. So I'm a little worried about Oregon in spite of the fact that they won a hard one this weekend.
We all saw this coming from 100 miles away, but Notre Dame's just beating a bunch of bad teams right now, and they're kind of out of the limelight, and they're just handling their business, and they crushed Navy over the weekend. But, like, what are we supposed to make of Notre Dame right now?
Honestly, I don't know, because you're right, they're beating bad teams. Or let me say this, they're beating not great teams, because it's not that Navy's a bad football team, but Navy is not a great football team either, and Notre Dame has a much better roster than the Naval Academy does. And we're just supposed to think that Notre Dame is super awesome because they beat up on them. I mean, if you stack their resume against everybody else's resume who is in contention for the college football playoff, you'd probably argue that Notre Dame has the worst of the bunch.
Yeah.
Because their second best resume data point is a loss.
Yeah.
Right? Like you beat USC, hooray. And then you lost to Texas A&M, but you only lost by a little bit. And then you lost to Miami, but you only lost by a little bit. So I think the committee is going to like Notre Dame regardless, just because it is Notre Dame and there's staying power with that name. But I don't know that they're a super duper awesome football team because they haven't played anybody that's super awesome recently. And the only teams they have played, well, we'll say they played one team that's super awesome, and they played Miami, and they lost to both of them.
Miami's in the ACC, and I'm having a hard time taking the ACC seriously at this point. I mean, Virginia loses to Wake by scoring 9 points. Louisville loses a home game to Cal. What am I supposed to do with this?
You're supposed to enjoy the ride. That's kind of when I look at the ACC. You ever been on? I don't know what the public transportation situation is in Baton Rouge, but in DC we have a metro system, and sometimes I get on the metro and there's a guy breakdancing, and it's like kind of annoying. But if he's a good breakdancer, I enjoy it for a couple of stops, and then I get off. That's kind of what the ACC is. There's no one that I'm taking seriously. Like this breakdancer isn't all of a sudden going to be on Broadway or on America's Got Talent in 2 years. There's no one I take seriously in the ACC, but I'm going to have a lot of fun in the process of these next couple of weeks when they beat up on each other, and we have to decide at some point who is going to be in the ACC title game, and then which one of those teams is going to get the privilege of getting blown out by either some Big Ten or SEC squad. No chance the ACC gets 2 bids, correct? It's a 1-bid league? No, that ended when NC State beat Georgia Tech.
Okay. All right. Speaking of taking teams seriously, Texas Tech 29-7. That defense, it's crazy to say because they built their entire resume and identity based on throwing around and playing no defense. They play defense now, and they play defense against BYU. Do we take Texas Tech seriously now?
A little bit. You definitely take them seriously with Bear Morton in. He's good. He rises the level offensively. Which, I mean, obviously, duh. But I think that offense as a whole just operates a lot better, and it feels like the team operates a lot better with him. But I also think that was just a little bit of a referendum on what BYU is. There was a reason they were double-digit underdogs. They're a fun team, but I don't know that anyone was confusing them with a great team. So I think that was maybe a little bit more about BYU than it was Texas Tech. I think they'll be fun in the college football playoff if they happen to match up with an ACC school, whether that be Virginia, Pitt, Louisville, SMU, whoever gets in out of the ACC, they'll hang 40 on them, comfortably. But once you start playing these Big Ten and SEC schools, I don't know that they stand up to them.
Julian Sayin is rolling up some numbers. Ohio State's beating the brakes off people, but I don't feel like anybody's really watching because they're not playing interesting football games. Purdue, Penn State, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Washington, Ohio. Like, it's just not very compelling. Like, you said earlier you think Ohio State is the best team. Like, what makes you say that? And do you think Julian Sayin is the front runner for the Heisman Trophy?
So I think they're the best team because they have a gear offensively that I don't think anyone else has. And just watching, it feels like they're kind of flipping a coin on which receiver is going to have an awesome day. And I think when it comes down to it, that there's not a lot of teams that have the defensive ability to guard both Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith while then also getting pressure on the quarterback. It almost feels, and I know this might be a little blasphemous in the South, but it almost feels like that Alabama team from a couple of years ago when Mac Jones was tossing the ball around the yard and guys were just so stupidly wide open. It feels very similar to that. Now, I say all that to say Julian Sayin winning the Heisman Trophy would be a very bad thing because they're not playing anybody.
Yep.
Right? Like I can with one on one side of my mouth say that I think they're the best football team, but on the other side saying like you need to have some sort of Heisman moment And because you're crushing teams and you're not playing a bunch of ranked teams, I don't know that he has one. He puts up numbers, yes, and he's a quarterback on the best team, but I don't know that what he's done this season would constitute as a great Heisman caliber season.
All right, let's take a look briefly ahead to next week. There's some good stuff. There's some not as good stuff. I think Georgia, Texas, probably the headline with those two brands, and I think both teams kind of need this one as well. So, how do you feel about that one in Athens? Georgia's a 6.5-point favorite right now.
This is going to be a headbanger, or at least I'm hoping it's a headbanger. If Texas wins, they're still alive now for the college football playoff, and I don't think that this would eliminate them if they lose, because they would still have the ability to beat Texas A&M the final week of the season. And I think a 3-loss Texas team with the ranked teams that they beat, you would make an argument for them getting in, especially if it comes down to them or like a second ACC or Big 12 school. So I think Texas still would be alive, but I think Georgia needs this win to kind of showcase that we belong in the conversation as a legitimate championship contender. Because I don't know about you, Hun, but when I think of teams that can legitimately win a championship now, I think of Ohio State. I do think still of Indiana, even though they got pushed a little bit. Texas A&M's in that conversation, and Alabama, but it does feel like there's a cutoff. And Georgia and Ole Miss, while they've had good seasons, are kind of on the outside looking in. I think it would be very nice for Georgia to not just beat Texas, but beat them pretty handedly, and then maybe they jump into that conversation. I will say that Gunnar Stockton has played significantly better as the season has progressed. He looks more comfortable, and he looks more confident. I still don't love him, but I think he does good enough things, and I think they have enough talent on that offense to be really, really good. I do think they beat Texas. I think the fun story of Texas potentially getting in comes crashing down soon, but it does add to the intrigue of the matchup this weekend for sure.
You mentioned Bama, and I'm skeptical of Alabama because I don't think they can run the ball. And they didn't run it on Saturday against LSU, and there have been issues running the football for them all year, really. And I think Simpson's really good, but putting it all on him for 3 or 4 games seems risky to me.
They will have to run the football, but this is where the SEC dominance, you can say bias or dominance, is going to come in. I don't think they're going to need to run the football in the first few rounds of the playoff. So I think if they can get one good run game and they time that one good run game when you're taking on either Ohio State, Indiana, however the matchups end up matching up, I think that would be a perfect scenario for Alabama, because you're right, they're not going to run it. If they play 3 college football playoff games, they're not going to run it well in all 3 of them. I just don't. I like Jam Miller. He's certainly not any of the running backs that we've seen previously at Alabama. I think they're putting a lot on Ty Simpson, so I'm with you with that. But I don't think I think they'll be able to get away with it in the early rounds of him just kind of throwing it around.
Interesting. You got the Hollywood against the blue collar Midwesterners, USC and Iowa in the Big Ten. USC sitting there at 7-2, theoretically could be an at-large team. Iowa, we know, plays good defense. Lincoln Riley, what do you think about that one from the Coliseum?
Man, I'd be so excited if this was like Lincoln Riley 4 or 5 years ago, when I still thought of him as this dynamic, hot, young offensive mind. Now I really don't. And it's not to say that he can't draw up a good offense, but I don't know. I've been a little unimpressed with some of the stuff that I've seen from USC. They got a big one over Northwestern on Friday, but like a big win over Northwestern in 2025. I mean, how big really is that? They had a chance against Notre Dame and they blew it. They had a chance earlier this season against Illinois and they blew it. They just don't happen to play really well against good teams. So I'm not all that intrigued in that one. I think Iowa might come away with it.
Interesting. He's Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime with us on Mondays. Thank you, sir.
Hunt, appreciate it, man. Be well.
We will talk next week. Got one more segment to go. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Parish Construction and Roofing. This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs. From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgout.
Banking on the go? Our mobile app makes it effortless. But at Campus Federal, you're more than just an account number. We build relationships with our members, supporting you from saving for college to owning your first home. If you're buying a car, planning a home renovation, or a vacation, we're here to help. Campus Federal Credit Union, your trusted financial partner for every stage of life. Start your journey today.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free confidential help now.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
LSU baseball played in Hammond on Sunday. Tigers dominated an 18-inning doubleheader style matchup with the Lions over there in Hammond, America. I did not go. I was coming in from where we did the pre and post game show on Saturday, so didn't have the chance to make it over there. But I did read the box score and saw some of the statistics. And one of the things that's standing out to me in this fall with LSU baseball is the bat of Zach York. He's the Grand Canyon transfer, big 300-pound first baseman, left-handed bat. And I saw him the first scrimmage I went to in the fall. He homered. Then on Friday, I went out to the box and watched some scrimmage action, and he punched a single. He's left-handed bat, punched a single into left center field, really nice short swing, drove it into the left center field gap, and then he homered again in Hammond. It feels like he's really swinging the bat well. They're looking for a little bit of thump in that offense. You've certainly have to replace Jared Jones, who hit for a ton of power. Luis Hernandez hit for a lot of power in the postseason for you last year. He's gone. Danny Dickinson was a double-digit home run hitter for you last year. So you've got to find some pop in that offense. Milam's going to give you a little bit. Curiel may grow into a little bit more, but you're not going to get much from Stanfield. And so kind of looking around, where can we get some offensive punch from? And York's a guy that was a better average hitter than home run hitter at Grand Canyon, but certainly has some pop. And look, at 300 pounds, he's a strong dude. And he certainly hit some home runs in this fall. And I really liked the approach where he hit the ball the other way. It was really nice. I'll also mention this on Friday. I wrote this at LouisianaSports.net. I saw Gavin Guidry pitch for the first time in a long time. And, man, I was impressed on Friday. The fastball was 93. He was throwing a straight changeup, which I have not seen him use a lot of in his time. When he started as a freshman in 23, it was all fastball and that big hammer breaking ball. He still throws that big breaking ball. He also threw a little bit of a tighter slider that I liked seeing. And he got 5 outs on Friday, all strikeouts. He struck out Curiel. He struck out Milam. He struck out Jake Brown. So basically LSU's like top 3 returning hitters he struck out and looked really good doing it. He looked healthy. He finished those 5 outs that he recorded and then went out to right field and was throwing full strength for about 10 or 12 more throws. So he looks healthy and looked really good on Friday. So it was nice to see Gavin Guidry back out there, and feels like he's probably on a trajectory to be ready to go when the new year comes. So that's exciting, and that's a guy that they were looking at as a potential starting option last year before he got hurt. He may be a potential starting option for this team. I'm not sure, but at the very least, you've got a reliever who's gotten huge outs for you early in his LSU career, who has good stuff and featured that on Friday. So that's good for LSU to get Gavin Guidry back in the mix. I've got a baseball breakdown. If you want to go to LouisianaSports.net, click the teams tab, click LSU, and you can go to LSU baseball. There's a report up from Friday as I've kind of detailed some of the things I've seen throughout the fall. I'll have a couple more reports as LSU winds down fall practice here in the next couple of weeks. So wanted to get that little baseball nugget in there before we finish things up. The other thing we've got to do, we'll take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. If you're tailgating this weekend, need to pick up some beers, Flight by Yingling. If you're looking to get out there and just hang out with some buds, no better beer to pick up than Flight by Yingling. It's the next generation of light beer, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer.
So with it looking like Kyler Murray time is coming to an end in Arizona, we'll see how it plays out. And NFL, they're always off the record, random NFL exec. NFL exec said that Kyler Murray should rather go play baseball before becoming a backup quarterback. Is it too late for the former Athletics baseball career to take off? Take it or leave it?
I'll leave it. Like, he could go do it. I mean, I doubt it. I doubt he would make it, but it's not too late. He could try. I think it's probably likely that he's going to ink a deal and play some more NFL football, potentially in New Orleans.
Oh, please, Lord.
The betting favorite.
Let's not do that.
New Orleans Saints are. We'll see how Shuck does the rest of the way, what the Saints want to do in the draft. But maybe you bring him in as a backup, veteran backup.
No, if we need Kyler Murray as a veteran backup, we have gone horribly wrong.
Was Kyler Murray the one that was playing video games?
Yes, with the Call of Duty initiative in his contract. Yes, it's Kyler. So speaking of the Saints will not be selecting number 1 in the draft in April. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think the Saints are going to win 4 games.
Yes.
That's what I think. I think you're going to be 4-13, and I don't think that's going to be the top pick.
As long as we top 5, I'm happy. That's a successful season to me. Number 1, because the Saints would get the number 1 pick in a draft where there's not a unanimous number 1 pick.
Yeah.
That's what I hate the most. You couldn't get one. Oh, there's a Myles Garrett on the board. There's one of these generational guys. No, you get Mendoza. So, no, I'm good on that. All right. All right. Is Tyler Shuck better than Bryce Young? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I don't think a lot of Bryce Young. Now, keep in mind, Bryce Young was awesome at Alabama. Yeah. Like, so good. He's not an NFL quarterback. He's little. The arm strength's not awesome. His awareness is not great. Like, he's just not been productive. I don't think of much of him at all as an NFL quarterback. At Bama, he was really good, but as we know, There's a whole world of difference between playing at the college level and playing at the NFL level, and he just doesn't translate to me. I think the Panthers are in a terrible spot because they're like winning some games, but they've got the wrong quarterback, and they like how are you going to change that?
Around
like,
him,
it's just not. They need a new quarterback.
And it's crazy you say that because we talked about how weird the NFL is. This same Panthers team shut out the Falcons.
Yeah, 30-0.
30-0, and then you only muster up 7 points against the Saints. This is I don't know what you want to do.
Week to week league.
Yeah, week to week, any given Sunday. But that's it for Take It or Leave It.
That's it for Take It or Leave It. We did a lot today, covered a lot of ground. I talked about at the top of the show, LSU's offense just not good enough in Tuscaloosa. Talked about the quarterback situation. Frank Wilson discussed that at his press conference today, and we found that in my second segment today. You can find both those segments at Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your sound. Spoke about the Saints game. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Good step in the right direction for the Saints entering the bye week. Great to enter the bye week for the Saints with a win there. Shook looked really good in spots. Statistically, not going to blow you away, but just managed the game well, got through his progressions, hit a couple deep shots. So you like that. So we talked about that a little bit. Talked about the SEC and how that shook out back on Saturday. LSU basketball is playing tonight. We mentioned that a little bit. LSU baseball in action over the weekend. Talked about that. So plenty. If you missed any of today's show and any of that interests you at all, go search Hunt Palmer Show wherever you find your sound and go check that out on demand when you have a moment or two. Busy show tomorrow. We got Colin Jeter coming on with the LSU Alumni Association, former Tiger tight end. We'll chat with Glenn West about the Tigers, talk to Sharif about the Saints. Also have a recap of LSU basketball tonight. Tigers in action against Master P and UNO. It's 7 o'clock from the PMAC. You can listen to that on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, 6:30 pregame with Chris Blair and John Brady. I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'll have a write-up on it, LouisianaSports.net tonight. And then we get into LSU and Arkansas prep, as Frank Wilson talked about that a little bit today. And it's a challenge for LSU. Newsworthy today. LSU Western Kentucky Senior Day next week. That'll be a 6:45 kickoff on the SEC Network. That's it for us today. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Have a safe and warm Monday evening. We're back tomorrow with a Tuesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care.